I guess I didn't even like make it through to like the end game, so I guess I shouldn't really talk about if it's good or bad or not.
Well, I think the thing is, like, if you didn't actually make it to level 30 yet and get to the world tiers, the game experience is completely different.
Mm-hmm.
Like that first 30 levels, really what you're doing is you're learning how the bullet sponges work, you're learning the missions, you're kind of going through the different type of gear sets that are out there, the different type of gear that you randomly get, just to kind of figure out things of where you want to be. Because at level 30, when you actually hit the world tiers and your end game stuff, that's when you start defining your real RPG and say, this is the role I want to play inside the game. And of course, some sets are much easier to solo
Mm-hmm.
versus some sets that are designed really for team. And, unless you
Yeah.
have a team available, which obviously there's plenty of us out there that are playing it, at least in my clan, and you got Janzer and those guys. So it's not like you couldn't always hop in with us and
Mm-hmm.
we can, do stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, I mean, if anyone ever watched my stuff, they know that that first 30 levels, I did it all completely by myself. Like I refused anybody's help because I really was determined to learn the game.
Mm-hmm. Kind of just experience like the core. And is that like most of like the main like quote unquote storyline? Was there like much of a storyline after 30, or was it just like missions to find better loot at that point?
After 30, there's a couple things that open up that you don't have access to on the regular game, and of course, if you've got the DLC, then you open up like survival, and you open up the underground, and you got the incursions and stuff like that. So it's completely different, and even
Mm-hmm.
the feel of playing becomes completely different because you go from having very underpowered gear and getting your ass beaten by enemies to being able to immediately, fire back and take down
Yeah.
enemies. It's not as bullet spongy, especially when you get your gear all leveled up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is bullet spongy enemies are something that I'm not a real big fan of, which is why I didn't end up. I ended up kind of stopping and not really making it to 30. But
Well, you have to understand that's also part of the mechanics that are in there.
yeah,
So
yeah,
when you're building your stuff, these are things that you have to decide on how you want to build your gear set. How do you put the extra mods on? What mod is going to do what for you? You know what I'm saying? So it's
hmm
really just it is what it is. It's gearing yourself up and proper modding. And really, you could follow what everybody else does, or you could just take your time and learn your gear set to fit your style, which is basically what I've done. I mean, it's taken me what 7, 8 months or something like that, 9 months to actually release my defense setup because it took me that long to decide exactly how I want to play it.
yeah,
And
and to kind
ironically,
of fine tune everything.
ironically, in 1.7, my setup has now become the best setup that you can have because of the changes they made to the gear set to incorporate the upcoming classified gear set for it.
Oh damn, Dogman Dan's got the inside scoop. He's an insider trader.
Now with like Fortnite, I haven't really posted much here with Fortnite because I'm trying to learn a lot of the stuff so I don't go out there looking like a complete idiot when I'm
Mm-hmm.
talking about it because I'd rather release at least knowledgeable stuff and know what I'm saying instead of just releasing complete shit and making it worse. But that's why I've got the poo as
As
my
your little
profile
flag.
banner.
Yeah. Oh, there you go.
My piece of shit.
All
I
right.
mean,
Oh, oh.
let me add an XP booster to me. I keep accumulating team boosts. It's crazy.
Yeah, I've definitely have more team boosts than my own personal boosts.
And V-Bucks. I keep getting V-Bucks all the time in these missions and stuff, so I personally, it bothers me to see the people out there spending so much money on V-Bucks, and just in two ways. It's like it's a bad thing, and then it's even a worse thing because you're showcasing the game as a pay to play.
Yeah. It's not good. Yeah, it's I think the monetization policy isn't perfect right now. I think it could be a lot worse. And I think that's partially because it is in early access. And I think that if they fine tune it and give us more ways to grind towards like legendary schematics and that sort of thing, I think that would alleviate some people's concerns with that. But yeah, people who are just going out and spending money and opening crates like this is CS:GO is not good for them.
No, and then they're getting pissed off. I mean, if you read those forums, the people are so pissed off about what they're getting
Oh
out
my
of it.
god!
It's like, holy crap, dude, this is RNG. It's gambling at its finest.
Yeah,
Don't put the money into it like that. I think down the road, there's definitely going to be more items that you can utilize it for, maybe changing character looks and stuff. But
yeah.
right now, I just don't see the incentive in buying V-Bucks when I can earn a few hundred a day.
Yeah.
But the way it's being showcased out there, people are buying them like, this is what you got to do. You got to get these llamas, and you got to this, and you got to that. It's like, not in the beginning. There's so many things dropping and so many different stuff happening that you're getting more than enough stuff in the beginning.
Yeah. It's a little crazy. I don't know. I have seen on like the Reddit how angry people are and how, oh, this game's gonna be dead in 6 months, blah blah blah. I'm like, well, there are plenty of people who are enjoying it, so that's not true. And I don't know. It is still in early access, and there's still plenty of time to fine tune stuff. I mean, the game hasn't even gone like free to play yet. It's got 6 months. Well, 4 months until that happens. So
we've gotten in some pretty heated debates on that one with the whole early access and how it's not right and this and that. Yeah, people buying into it and then they're getting mad about the whole why we bought into it and this. I'm like, nobody forced you to buy into the early access.
yeah,
I mean, for me, Watusi gifted me the basic game, the standard edition. I played it. I felt that my further investment was going to be worth it. And that's why I invested more money. And it's the same thing I've done like time and time again over the past several years. I'll find a way to get into a game even in early access, not necessarily with paying. Somebody gifts it to me or the developer gives me access to it, that type of stuff. It gives me a chance to play it and to say, you know what? This one is going to be worth the investment.
Yeah. And I don't know. I would agree. People need to do a little more research before they just drop hundreds of dollars on founder stuff. That's really what it comes down to.
Well, I mean, it's the same thing with buying the V-Bucks. This is what people, I mean, your natural mindset, I've got to have the best thing, so I better buy this stuff now and start farming for it. And the founder stuff, it's not like, it wasn't one of those like, oh God, you have to have this stuff because all these guys drop in the game. Not necessarily the same exact look, not necessarily the same exact weapon. It's a little bit different, obviously, the variants. But it's not one of those you have to have them.
Yeah. And people just don't seem to get that. And it frustrates me a little bit.
I mean, after playing with that standard edition, I played with it for about a week before I decided to make my investment because I felt at that point it's like, I've managed to get all the different heroes throughout just playing the game. I've got all these survivors and defenders and all this stuff, and I can see why the Founders Pack really isn't going to be one of those, you gotta have this. These are the, the end-all, be-all, you've got to play this type of thing. It's not like how other Founders programs are, and those items are exclusive that you'll never see again, and they affect portions of the game, blah, blah, blah. But that's another topic.
Yeah. Excalibur Prime.
But
Sorry.
to that, you know, when you go back 4 years, almost 5 years now, and you look at the way Founders programs were back then, it's exactly the way Founders programs were. There were several other games that I invested in back in those days that's the same way the Founders programs were. Nothing wrong with it. It's not really hindering the game. It doesn't even... It's not even that much in terms of points either that changes the game that significantly for somebody. But the fact of people complaining about not having it or having access to it. God, there's plenty of games out there I wish I had bought Founders for, but I didn't. But I'm not going to kill myself over the fact that I didn't get it.
Yeah. But not some people. Some people are going to go right ahead and jump off a cliff. I don't want to play as a ninja. Thank you, though.
That's just the way our mindset is. You've got to have the latest and greatest, and you've got to be the first to get it.
Yeah. It's pretty gross. And I think the whole, like, loot crate craze is really... It's not as a result of that, but I think that the loot crate craze is really just hurting the whole game industry in general. Like, this is... It's just not good. And people are getting suckered into it.
I don't really understand the whole loot crate thing. I mean, there's some cool items and stuff, and I guess maybe if I was bigger and I had a much larger audience where I was making more money monthly, that I could just take a portion of that money and invest into loot crate, or you know, it would help me back. Then I guess it's not a bad thing. I mean, it works for some people, but for me, I just, you know, plus then my wife would probably yell at me with all the shit I'd be accumulating monthly for no real reason.
Yeah. All right. Are you ready to invite me?
I guess so.
I guess.
I mean, you're welcome to join me. I mean, Jesus.
I guess I could join. Hold on. Join party. That would probably work better, right?
There you go. See?
Oh, hey, there you go.
It's what everybody else does. They just join me.
Yeah. Hey, listen. You are the second person I've played with on this game yet, so I'm getting used to it. Okay.
It's all right. We'll let it slide.
GLE.
Let it slide.
Just this once.
You know, the one thing about this is that I really like is, like, I'm finding that I can play this stuff by myself as I learn the hero that I'm playing and have the stuff, you know, leveled up and shit. But of course, you can completely see the whole team aspect of it and how team-based is the way to go in almost anything.
Yeah, once you get into Plankerton, the mobs start really heavily spawning to the point where it's hard to even do encampments by yourself because it's you just get swarmed by just regular dudes, just the regular husks. So yeah, it's definitely a very like team focused game, and I feel like there are aspects of it that are kind of like against that. Like the whole Outlander class is let's run around and resource and ignore all of the other objectives. So
well,
I don't know.
Yeah,
you can't have it all. But I think the Outlanders are a really cool class. I think it's definitely one of the more unique classes in the game. But
yeah, well, I mean, you know what I really like is if I compare it to other tower defense games that I like when I'm talking about Dungeon Defenders, you know, 1 and 2. 2 obviously is the one that's out there now, and I played a ton of Dungeon Defenders hours, like number 2 when it was all in that beta phase. I mean, I played tons of it. And the thing was, for the most part, you could, if you set yourself up properly, play it solo until you got to the end game stuff where you definitely needed teams. The same thing with like Orcs Must Die, or in this case, Orcs Must Die Unchained that's now out there, right? Where they have the whole co-op, you know, 4-player aspect of it, where again, you get to the higher levels, you definitely need to be working as a team, setting up your traps, doing those things properly. And that's fine, but this game just kind of sits on top of those. Like, there's so much more to this game with the open world aspect, with the crafting, with the, you know, resourcing, with all the stuff that you're doing, that it just kind of puts that extra layer on top. The fun layer.
It's definitely one of the most creative games I've ever had a chance to play. And that, I mean, you can spend hours just
Uh-oh.
Did you kick me? Did you
No,
leave the
I
party?
just got kicked from the game.
Oh. Well, that's not... that's less than good. Yeah, you're not even...